This portion of On the Record is sponsored by UMass Boston.
Good morning, everyone. It is time to go on the record. After decades, Boston is getting a new mayor, and one candidate looking to shape our city's future is Rob Consalvo. The city councilman lays out his vision for the hub. Plus, our political roundtable tackles the big stories from the first half of 2013. How has the marathon bombing changed the way we think of our city, our leaders, and our safety? And with Ed Markey on his way to the Senate, what's the takeaway from the special Senate election? And what happens in 17 months when he has to run again?
From WCVB Boston, the inside word from Washington to Beacon Hill, today's newsmakers are going on the record.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ed Harding alongside News Center 5 Sean Kelly. Thanks for joining us on OTR this morning. Our guest is Boston City Councilor and candidate for mayor, Rob Consalvo. Since 2002, he's represented the city's 5th district. That includes Rosendale, Hyde Park, Reedville, someone else lives in Reedville that I know, right? And Mattapan. It's the seat once held by Mayor Menino. Rob is 43 years old. He was born in Hyde Park, still lives there today with his wife Michelle and their 3 children. Before running for office himself, he worked on the staff of Senator Ted Kennedy and was the director of constituent services for Representative Angelo Scaccia. Say his last name for me.
Scaccia.
Thank you very much. I always butcher it. Rob, welcome. Thank you for joining us this morning. And let's start with Sean Kelly.
Rob, what have 11 years as city councilor taught you about the inner workings of this city and how to get things done, but also how to avoid turmoil with unions?
Well, it's certainly something that I've prided myself on 11 years on the city council, of being a bridge builder, someone who's been able to use cooperation to replace confrontation. And I've learned that as part of the well-rounded experience I've had serving in government, working for Senator Kennedy, who was the ultimate master of being able to bring both sides to the table and find compromise. He taught me that, and as a mentor, that's a tool that I've used as a counselor. I've also been able to be a leader on a number of public policy initiatives, innovation, new ideas, bringing real public policy matters to the table. Also, as you said, chaired the Ways and Means Committee and served on delivering a balanced budget on time, working with the administration. All of us have disagreements on issues with our colleagues, with the administration, with constituents, but it's about what's in the best interest of the city. And so I've prided myself on the fact of being a full-time city councilor. I don't have another job. If I lose in September, I'm actually out of work, and I'm not saying that to make people feel guilty so they'll vote for me, although if they do, that's great. I hope they will. I say it because it's the full-time calling and commitment that I've had. Public service, serving in government, first for Senator Kennedy at the State House, now in city government, and understanding that city government is on the front lines of making a difference in people's lives. It's what keeps our city and our neighborhood strong. And so I've been able to use the tools as a bridge builder, an innovator, someone who's brought real public policy initiative to the table, someone who's understood the importance of the constituent services, having a laser-like focus on what the needs of my district are, from potholes and streetlights to making sure the streets are plowed and the trash is picked up, to working with community groups on building new parks and playgrounds. At the same time, I've had a real record of legislation and innovation, something that I'm proud of that I learned working for Senator Kennedy in the State House. And then just finally, understanding the importance of the fiscal economy of our city. Look, the next mayor is going to be a CEO of a $2.6 billion budget, 17,000 city employees. You're running the business side of city government. That means understanding that tough decisions need to be made when they have to be made, understanding that the fiscal health of our city and a balanced budget and a strong bond rating means jobs and economy. Companies want to come here and grow here and expand here if they know we have a strong bottom line. And that strong bond rating, which is now AAA, that's how we use those capital dollars to invest in parks and playgrounds, building new schools and building new community centers.
I'm glad you mentioned the budget. You know it as well as anyone. Do you foresee potential cuts to police, fire, teachers in the near future?
I don't. I think in my administration, I'm going to actually do the opposite. One of my priorities has been to invest in public safety. I've been a leader on the city council in investing in not only manpower, making sure police, fire, and EMS have the personnel that they need to do their job and keep our city safe.
Where's the money going to come from then?
Well, we're a very strong city. We have a balanced budget. We have our tax revenue that comes in from both our residential tax and our commercial tax base. We have a meals tax that draws in revenue. And even though we've seen a steep decline in local aid from the state legislature due to the budget cuts on that level, we're still able to invest in the key priority areas because of our strong economy.
So let's talk about that. What about schools? What would you like to do with, would you like to build more schools? Would you like to open more schools? What would you like to do with schools?
So
just the buildings and the facilities I'm talking about.
Absolutely. I look at the school issue, I think, a little differently than a lot of folks in this race, because I'm a dad. I have 2 kids in the Boston Public Schools. I have a 3rd child that will join next year. So as mayor, I'm going to have 3 kids in the system. And let me tell you, there's no more focused person in the mayor's office than a consumer of public education. And, by the way, who has a wife at home who's concerned about her kids' future. future. So I'm going to look at it as a dad and a mayor. And I think that we do need to invest in a long-term plan to upgrade our buildings.
To upgrade the buildings.
We should have a all of our buildings should be state-of-the-art buildings, like the kids in the suburbs get.
Should there be a longer school day?
I absolutely support an extended learning day.
And a longer school year.
We should have extended learning days. We should have longer school year. I think we need to invest in our buildings. We need to make every school in the city that wants to be a K-8 a K-8.
But the lifeblood of that is money. And where in today's environment, with the state cuts you're talking about, with the federal limitations you're talking about, and of course with just the budgetary limitations, where would the money come to support that?
So I'd say a couple of things. It comes from the budget that we currently have, right? One of the things that the mayor and his administration have done so well is keep our fiscal foundation strong. The council has played a role in that. I chaired the Ways and Means Committee. We have resources that, if it's a priority, we can fund those particular priorities. So
should the school committee be elected or appointed? I'm just curious what you think.
I believe that the school committee should be appointed.
You think it should be appointed,
right?
And not a word of the voters, but appointed in terms of being the CEO of
I think the mayor, I think it's working. Yep. I think that you should take the politics out of the kids' public education. I say this as a dad. There's plenty of checks and balances for voters. When the school department passes their budget, they send that budget to the city council for approval anyway. We're the check and balance to the voters. They certainly have plenty of access, and say not just in the city councils who approve the budget, but by electing a mayor. So I say leave the politics out of it. Let professionals focus on the school committee and educating our kids.
Rob, overall, Boston recovered very well during the economic crisis, but there are still plenty of people, including many in your own district, who are still struggling to get ahead in the world. And some are still struggling to get a job. What initiatives do you have to fix that?
Well, I think the number one thing you can do is continue the strong economy of the city's budget, right? When we have a strong budget, like we talked about, and we balance our budget, that's why the Vertexes want to move here. When they move here, they create jobs. That's why we have companies that want to locate here from other places, and they want to build new headquarters here. And those are construction jobs that the men and women who live in the neighborhoods who work in the trades then be able to get those jobs. And then when those new companies open, they hire the white-collar workers who come in, and hopefully that helps us retain the workforce from our colleges. That's a huge issue. When we graduate these kids from the college and universities here, they don't stay here, they leave. We need to have an economy that keeps those kids here and retains them. We need to have a continually growing economy that lets the men and women who live in the neighborhoods get those jobs on those construction sites. We want neighborhood residents getting those jobs on these construction sites. So it's really being a CEO. And there's two sides to this. There's a mayor who's invested and focused on the neighborhoods and constituent services and public policy. There's also the CEO who has to continue to toe the line on a strong economy, a balanced budget, and a strong fiscal foundation. That's the way to grow jobs in our city, to continue to making sure we're a stable city where companies want to locate and open and create jobs.
You need to be able to handle the OTR pop quiz.
Okay.
Which the current mayor of Boston, he looks at me and goes, do we have to do this? Yeah. All right, here we go. OTR
This is a tough one, too.
I'll do my best.
All right, here we go. Here is question one on the OTR pop quiz. Voter turnout in the just held U.S. Senate race in Massachusetts was historically what? What was the turnout for the U.S. Senate race here in Massachusetts?
The actual number?
Yeah.
I'm going to say the turnout was at 20%.
27, 1.2 million voters, the lowest voter participation in a U.S. Senate election in Massachusetts in modern times.
I was close.
In 2004, Massachusetts was the first state to allow gay marriage to couple when same-sex unions resume in California. How many states nationwide will have gay marriage? And we'll give you the District of Columbia. That's not a state, but there's one. But how many states in the union?
I'd like to buy a vowel.
Yeah. Phone a friend.
I'm going to say...
Lucky number...
How many states? 17.
13.
Okay.
Including all the New England states, by the way. We continue on the record with Rob Consalvo. Stay with us.